shot, now heaven knows anything goes.
Wait, hold on. Anything goes? Isn't that what's been happening right here in America for some time now? So, how does that make you feel? After all, our country is a land of laws framed by our Constitution, is it not? So, you might be asking, what can I do? Well, welcome to COS Indiana Live, where we'll be discussing how to use the Constitution to save the Constitution. Our vision is to build a strong, engaged army of self-governing activists. Our mission statement is to restore self-governance by recruiting, training, and deploying citizen activists to engage in all levels of government. So, if you've had enough of anything goes, join us every Monday at 7 p.m. as our state director and host, Dale Parrish, will show you how we can actually make a difference by using the Constitution to save the Constitution and our country. And without any further ado, here's Dale.
Well, good evening, everyone. Sorry for a little delay there in starting our broadcast. Ran into a little technical problem, but hopefully we got it straightened out and we're broadcasting, at least according to my program, we're broadcasting. So I hope everything's coming out okay. Like Marengo Mike said, my name's Dale Parrish. I am the state director here for Convention of States in Indiana. And I want to welcome you to our broadcast this evening. You know, and Marengo Mike mentioned this. I always like to ask the question, folks, are any of you feeling a bit frustrated after the election? Are you feeling like, what can I do now? What alternatives do I have available to me now? Well, we have an alternative for you, and that's Convention of States. And we would love to have you join us because, folks, we believe Convention of States is the solution as big as the problem. Now, I'll be telling you more about Convention of States later on in our broadcast this evening, but we believe that you need to come and join us because, like I said, we think Convention of States is the solution as big as the problem. So more on that later on. Now, I do want to make an announcement here that we are live streaming again. I hope we are live streaming again to our YouTube channel, COS Indiana. So please check in if you want an alternative way to view our broadcast. So that's on our YouTube channel, COS Indiana. Let me briefly go through then the different segments of our broadcast this evening. The first segment is what I call the guest / education segment. And in this segment, most of the time, we'll bring on one of our leadership individuals here in the state of Indiana and introduce that person to you, give you an idea of what their duties are. And tonight, we have one of our new district captains. We are blessed with a number of new district captains coming in the fold here in Indiana. So I'm going to be bringing on more of our new district captains as time goes on. But tonight, we're going to bring on Leanna Kriebel. Leanna from Indiana is what she likes to be called. So Leanna is the district captain for House District 25. So we're going to be bringing her on here very shortly and introduce her to you. She's a very, very nice young lady, and I think you're going to enjoy meeting her. Now, after the first segment, then in the second segment, I'll bring up my PowerPoint and we'll briefly just provide you some information on some resources we have available here in Indiana, as well as a few numbers, just to kind of bring you up to date. Then after that segment, then in the third segment, we'll recognize any viewer comments or questions that we may have this evening. So if you are viewing and you want to ask a question or make a comment, please keep it brief because I'm limited to the number of characters that I can put on the screen at one time. So now after that segment, then we're introducing a new segment. I think I started this actually last Monday, but we're going to continue it tonight as well. And I'll be bringing you brief reports that have been submitted by a number of our Convention of States contributors. Now, tonight, we have a report submitted by our contributor, Paul Phillips, who's also our legislative liaison. And Paul has submitted a report that he has done on executive orders. So I think you're gonna, if you've been following the news and our new president, this should be interesting to you. So that'll be coming up in the fourth segment, I believe that is. So in the last segment, then I call it the invitation. And in this segment, then I'll talk to you a little bit about Convention of States. I got another video for you to see about what we're all about. And we'll kind of wrap things up. We'll let you know what's going to happen in our next broadcast on March 1st. And then I'm going to invite you to join us here in Convention of States in Indiana. And I'm going to then tell you how to go about doing that, because you are the target audience for this broadcast. We're trying to reach out to those here in the state of Indiana and beyond. That's okay too. But primarily those of you here in Indiana that are not in our organization as yet. And so we're trying to reach you and invite you to join us here in Convention of States. So that's what's on tap for this evening. And once again, I apologize for us getting a little bit of a late start here. So, but we'll get everything in. We'll stick with the program. So without further ado, then I would like to bring on our guest this evening. Whoa. Here is Leanna. Leanna, hi. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you just fine. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody.
Let me turn it down a little bit here. You came on kind of loud. All right, good. Well, Leanna, so nice that you could join us this evening. And it is Leanna Kriebel, right?
Yeah.
Am I pronouncing it right? Yeah. Okay. Okay. And like I said, Leanna is our one of our newest district captains, and she's now the district captain in House District 25. And we're going to show you where that's located here very shortly. But I always like to ask of guests that come on that are part of our organization to tell us your Convention of States story. So, Leanna, what's your how, when, and where you came to join Convention of States here in Indiana?
Yeah. So my Convention of States story kind of comes in two parts. I first came across Convention of States back in spring of 2019 through PragerU. They had a couple YouTube videos going out about Convention of States. So that's where I first heard about the project and got to the website, signed the petition. And then I saw that Indiana was a past state. So my thought was, oh, I guess I don't really have to do much, but I'll donate at least to national. I'm sorry, my camera cut out, but am I back?
No, no, your camera cut out. There you are.
Here we go.
Okay.
Sorry. I guess Facebook might be trying to hack my feed or something. But anyway, so I donated, I became a national donor then, and then didn't really do much more with active involvement until maybe fall of last year, when I found out that we were looking for a district captain in our region through another COS volunteer who lives nearby. So that's when I applied and have gone through training, and now here I am ready to serve.
All right, great, great. Well, we're so glad to have you. So glad to have you. Okay, I wanted to bring up a map here that I've got. I want to show people where District 25, you know, everyone understand that we're organized around House districts here in Indiana, and there's 100 of them here 100 House districts in Indiana, all across the state. And Leanna is the district captain for District 25. So let me bring this up, and I want to get everyone a good view of this as much as possible. But so Leanna, your district, you want to your district, West Lafayette's in your district, but then your district's surrounded by Logansport, Kokomo, Crawfordsville. What are some of the cities right in your district?
Well, Monticello for sure, and Delphi, and I think depending on who you talk to, sometimes Lafayette is part of that as well. But and I think Fowler might be in there too. It's kind of hard to tell. I don't know. I'm in a smaller town called Brookston, so I guess I know what the bigger cities that I typically go and do my errands in.
All right.
The ones that are also in my district. So.
Okay, well that I just would like to give everybody a little idea of where you're located, because so you're pretty much right there in the center of the state. So, oh, you cut out again.
Oops, let me plug that in.
You got it? Okay. All right. Well, let's. You still hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. Let's talk about then some of the objectives that you have set for yourself for your district. Okay. I know you mentioned the first one had to do with getting volunteers. You want to talk about that one?
Yeah, I've been looking. I've been getting to know my district and getting to see who is involved so far, and we don't have a lot of people who are volunteering in this district, or at least have not, or maybe are not aware of what places they can plug in. But I'd like to get us to where we have 100 people volunteering, and it can be in different capacities. I know there's a lot of different roles if you go to the website, but definitely that's one of my goals, is just getting enough people kind of involved and ready to, like talking at booths, or helping with the technology and the technology side, IT stuff, just to name a few.
Okay. All right. Okay. I think you've also mentioned that you wanted to maybe get into conducting monthly meetings.
Right. Yeah. Something else I would like to be doing this every month is just kind of having a meeting, maybe depending on where most people are. It actually might be Monticello, or might be those places, but or at least might be where I hold them. But just kind of getting the word out about convention of states, especially after this last election, now is definitely the time to be promoting self-governance and promoting, just Indiana having more authority in how Hoosiers run their lives as opposed to Washington. And I mean, like I said, I just found out through a YouTube video. I didn't hear from anybody around me, but word of mouth is a powerful thing. And so I want to help in that by, just having meetings where it's easy to come and find and just kind of hear about the movement, know what our goals are. And then I don't know if I'm jumping ahead, but
okay.
Something else I would like to do in these meetings would be educating about the U.S. Constitution, possibly the Indiana Constitution too, if there's enough interest. Because if there's anything I've noticed over the last couple months, and I'm sure many of us have too, it's just how little we understand our Constitution and how little elected officials understand our Constitution. And it just changes a lot of the way that you look at how things need to be run based on your understanding of the U.S. Constitution,
right,
and state constitution.
Leanna mentioned to me, we in Convention of States, we focus a lot, obviously, on the U.S. Constitution, but Leanna mentioned about teaching some about the Indiana Constitution. I thought that was a very, very good idea, because, like I said, we focus so much on the U.S. Constitution. So I think I really applaud you on that idea.
Let me wrestle a cat for a second.
Yeah. Your camera went off again.
Okay, she's out of the way.
All right.
Yeah, let me mess with that cord a little bit. Okay.
There you go.
Sorry, my cat dropped. That was my cat's fault that time. she's out of the room now.
Okay. Well, one of your other objectives, and this is one of the
your
main objectives of district captain, is to meet with your legislators, your state legislators. So who are your legislators?
Yeah. So if anybody in my district has seen the signs for Don Leahy over the last election, he's our representative, and then our state senator is Brian Buchanan. So I'm hoping to meet with them, and if anybody in the district is interested in coming with me to meet them, we can come as a group and it'll be great.
All right, good deal, good deal.
But then aside from just one meet and greet, I know I'd like to be keeping up a good relationship with them and just just being, having a say in, oh yeah, I like this new bill that you're proposing, or this one you're not, or that you said you don't like. I agree with you as your constituent. I'm going to be a dutiful citizen. That kind of.
All right. Good deal. Good deal. Well, I always like to wind up these interviews on self-governance, because we try to stress self-governance so much in Convention of States. So now, I know you strongly believe in self-governance, right, Leanna? And now I believe you and self-governance can take the form in many different forms. You're involved in a youth group, right? You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, I'm involved in a youth organization. Yeah. So anybody who has high schoolers may have heard of Young Life. It's kind of a youth organization geared towards high school students who may not go to a church or may not want to go to a church, but it's a way for me to get to know people in my community, get to know youth in my community especially. And that's one thing too with being around youth. It's a way for me to have a say in how they, I don't know, it's a way for me to have a better impact with my community, as opposed to hunting that out to somebody at like the federal level, because I'm the one who's here living and breathing on the ground here. I kind of have a better idea of what changes need to happen, as opposed to a bureaucrat in Washington, D.C. And then, I guess it also does kind of give me a bit of a plug for the kids now, if they are curious anyway. I can go, yeah, by the way, there's a different solution than expecting Washington to fix things.
Good deal. So. All right, Leanna, well, thank you very much for taking time to talk with us this evening. And
thanks for your patience on my end too.
That's quite all right. And like I said, Leanna's a new district captain, and I think she's going to be a great one. So best of luck to you, Leanna. Thank you.
Thanks. Dale.
Have a good evening.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. Well, we'll take Leanna back into the lobby area. All right. Well, the next thing that I want to do then is I want to bring up my PowerPoint here and go over and provide some information to you. And I'm going to, in order for you to get a full view, I'm going to implement the slideshow option here. And so now you should be able to see a good view of each of the slides. So let's get started. Like Maringo Mike said, our vision statement here in Indiana is right in line with the national vision statement for Convention of States, and that's to build a strong, engaged army of self-governing activists. Our mission statement here in Indiana, then, is to restore self-governance by recruiting, training, and deploying citizen activists to engage in all levels of government. Now, we've set forth some particular objectives that we want to try and accomplish here in 2021. We want to grow our supporter base to 70,000. Now, we have just over 55,000 supporters here in Indiana. We want to grow that to 70,000 this year. We want to get some young people more involved in the Convention of States, get some under 30 age individuals like Leanna, and we want to get more Leannas involved. We want to grow from 4 region captains to 7 region captains. We have 9 regions altogether here in Indiana. We want to get from 4 to 7 this year. We want to grow to 40 district captains. We have about 25 right now, and we're getting a very, very good turnout so far this year. So I think we're going to easily surpass the 40 objective here. We want to develop and implement a call to action program. Now, this has to do with our support of certain legislation pending here in Indiana, and I'll be talking about that very, very shortly here. Also, develop and deliver education program. This is also going to be something that we're going to be rolling out here in March, as a matter of fact. So more on this will be coming. So those are our objectives for 2021. Here's some resources and events that we have going on. Our major resource here in Indiana is our national website, conventionofstates.com. You'll hear us make reference to this website frequently. Now, embedded in the national website, we have our state webpage, which is conventionofstates.com/Indiana. On Facebook, our state Facebook page, Convention of States Indiana. This broadcast is coming to you through that Facebook page. Our YouTube channel, I mentioned that earlier, COS Indiana. That's where we're live streaming the broadcast. We also have recordings of these broadcasts are available on that YouTube channel. We have some narrated PowerPoint presentations. We also have we have links to a podcast that our legislative liaison, Paul Phillips, does, called the Free to Be Free podcast. And now he's going to be coming up, and he's going to be featured in our contributor segment. He's submitted a report this evening, and he calls his segment is going to be called the Free to Be Free Moment. So it's a shortened version of what he normally does on a podcast. So that'll be coming up here very shortly. I am on Parler at D.O. Parish. Now on Parler is back up now. So you'll be able to find recordings of our broadcasts and also upcoming events of future broadcasts. That's all you're going to see on there right now. We're on Instagram, Convention of States Indiana, Twitter. Our national group's looking at also making a presence on MeWe as well as Rumble. So when they do, then hopefully we'll be able to tag along with those platforms. State newsletter, we publish a newsletter every month. Our people are just doing an excellent job on this newsletter. So if you're a supporter of Convention of States here in Indiana and you have provided your email address, then you'll be getting this state newsletter. So be looking for that. It's very, very, very good. All right, some upcoming events and items that I want to bring to your attention. I mentioned legislation. Now, this is part of our objective of call to action. We are looking to support 3 particular House bills this year. We've gotten approval. We have to get approval from our national group before we can officially announce as supporting a particular piece of legislation. 2 of the 3 have already been approved. House Bill 1123 has to do with disaster emergencies. House Bill 1384 has to do with a bill calling for civics education to be in our school systems. We are waiting approval on a 3rd bill, House Bill 1369, which has to do with constitutional carry matters for firearms. So we're still waiting for approval on that. Now, an event coming up in March 28th, will be our first virtual Convention of States Indiana Roundtable meeting. And we're still developing the agenda, but we know for sure part of the agenda is going to be education. So that's going to satisfy our objective of developing an education program. That's how we're going to be delivering this, will be through these roundtable meetings. We hope to have these on a quarterly basis. Like I said, our first one is scheduled for March 28th, but you'll be hearing more on this as time goes on. Next broadcast next Monday, March 1st. Can't believe it's already, March is already almost here. We're going to have another new district captain. His name is Phil Waldorf. Phil is the new district captain for House District 83. So that will be, Phil will be our guest next Monday on March the 1st. Okay, so let me get back to the screen and back where you can see me. So now I want to, let me see here. Okay, I did the information segment. Let's see who has tuned in this evening. Here's James Romack. Now, James is another one of our new district captains. James is in training, and he will be joining us at some future broadcast. So hope to have him on. We have another person here, Kathy Jones. And good evening from Southern Indiana, home of Gus Grissom. Kathy, thank you for joining this evening. All right. Got another Christopher Custer. I believe Chris is also another one of our new district captains. So good to have all of you on this evening. I see Paul Phillips gave Leanna a compliment. Good job, Leanna. I don't know if Leanna's, well, her webcam is off, but hopefully she can hear us talking about it. So Paul is saying good luck to you, Leanna, on being a district captain. All right, and let's see, we got one more here. Christine Hayes, hello from Southern Indiana. Christine, thank you for joining us tonight. Thanks for checking in with us tonight. All right, let me get that off. All right, now in this segment, this is our contributor segment that I mentioned, where we have, this is a new segment that we're introducing tonight. So Leanna just texted me saying her webcam is off, but she must have heard us. So that's okay, Leanna. Thank you for joining us tonight. So I'm going to bring up our contributor, Paul Phillips, tonight, and we'll listen to his report on, and this is part of the Free to Be Free moment. So let's bring Paul up here.
Hi, I'm Paul Phillips, and this is the Free to Be Free moment. I was recently reminded of a Free to Be Free podcast episode from a few years ago entitled A Pen and a Phone, Same Problem, Different President. You may recognize that phrase, a pen and a phone. Barack Obama famously said that he had a pen and a phone, and if Congress failed to act, he would. Executive orders have become a big problem, and not just recently. Let's look at some data. President Donald Trump averaged 55 executive orders a year during his 4 years as president. Barack Obama averaged 35 a year. George W. Bush, 42 a year, and Bill Clinton, 46 a year. Our current president, Joe Biden, has already enacted 32 executive orders in a little bit under 2 months as president. At that pace, he'll be issuing 192 executive orders per year. Now that may sound like a lot, but he's nowhere near the record set by Franklin Delano Roosevelt of 307 executive orders per year. Now you may be wondering, is there a president who's shown restraint with executive orders? And the one with the record lowest number of executive orders is William Henry Harrison. He had issued no executive orders during his time as president. But that may be due to the fact that he is known for the longest inaugural address in history, and this was during some inclement weather, and he refused to wear a jacket. Kind of explains why he died of pneumonia only 1 month into his presidency. Also explains the 0 executive orders. For a more reasonable lower end, I would look to James Madison and James Monroe. Each one of them served 8 years as president, and each one of them has only 1 executive order to their credit in the entire 8 years that they served. Seems like our founding fathers understood the non-delegation doctrine. Now, the non-delegation doctrine is something that James Madison actually proposed as a part of the initial Bill of Rights, but unfortunately, that proposed amendment never made it out of Congress. What it did is prohibited one branch of government from delegating its power to another branch. And I'm specifically thinking of Congress. As you may know, Article 1, Section 1 of the Constitution says that all legislative power shall be vested in a Congress. Now, to me, all means all, which means only Congress can pass laws, not presidents through the fancy manipulations of something called executive orders.
Thank you, Paul, for that report, and we'll be seeing more from Paul as time goes on with Free to be Free moments. I want to now get into the last segment of our broadcast, and in order to do this, I wanted to put up one more comment, and Leanna, if you're still on, I want to show this real quick. This is a comment from Gary Harbaugh. Nice job, Leanna. Thanks for coming on the broadcast. So I want to make sure you get to see that, Leanna. So anyway, I want to bring up another video that I just think is very good in this last segment. This is a segment where I want to tell you about Convention of States, and I want to invite you to join Convention of States. And this video, I just think, explains what we're all about so very well. So I'm going to play it again, and I hope you enjoy it. So let me bring it up here.
Let's talk about Congress. Hey, Congress is full of people who don't know what the hell they're doing, but want to control your lives.
The longer they stay in, the more connected they become to special interests, and special interests are destroying our nation.
They give each other what they want, and they stick the taxpayer with the bill.
What's going to happen to the millennials? Unfunded liabilities plus debt now is $144 trillion.
Politicians come in and say they're going to change it, and they never, ever do.
We're not going to surrender the greatest country on the face of the earth and turn it into another failed European experiment.
The question is today, will we use the Constitution to save the Constitution?
Our framers in particular foresaw that this day would come.
The Peach State is making history. Lawmakers passed a preliminary measure today for a convention of states.
The Missouri House passed a measure calling for a convention of states.
The Convention of States.
The Article 5 Convention of States.
Convention of States.
Convention of States.
Convention of the States.
How does the Convention of States?
Convention of the States.
The Convention of States.
Convention of States.
The States Project. Mark Meckler. Now you run a group trying to build a movement. You're saying the work is being done across this country to get to that 34-state threshold, and whether Washington wants it or not, the people hold a convention to limit the powers of the federal government.
It's right there in Article 5.
Article 5 of the Constitution was included by the founders for this exact time.
Where Washington would so depart from our principles
that only we, the people, could cut it down to size. So I think it may well take a convention to wake them up.
I've been a longtime supporter of the Convention of States to reestablish the sort of guiding principles of the Constitution.
The Convention of the States empowers the people of America to get some things done that they've long wanted.
By using Article 5 of the Constitution, we can pursue reforms such as a balanced budget amendment.
It's term limits on Congress, term limits on judges, and a balanced budget amendment for America.
Just becoming 11th state to call for a convention to limit federal government power.
The Arkansas House passed a resolution that calls for a convention of states.
30 states, Steve, 30 have either passed it in their state legislature or are actively considering it. So there is a pathway to that number.
This literally nothing like this has been done in American history.
If you want to put government back in check, it's only going to be us, the people, do it.
And so this is the last chance I think we, the people, have to get back in the control of the constitutional reins of our republic.
Inspire them to make sure that we pass on a better America.
That is the next revolution we need.
No, we have to do this.
Governor Greg Abbott is calling for more states to get on board with a push for a convention of states.
Tomorrow we're going to work to make sure that we add the 13th, 14th, 15th, all the way up to the 34th state.
A year, 10 years, 100 years, whatever it takes.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Every time I watch that, I kind of get choked up a little bit because I think it's so good, and it really talks. It gets to what we're all about. As they mentioned, we're trying to call this Convention of States according to Article 5 of our Constitution. It's right in the Constitution in Article 5. Article 5 describes the way the Constitution can be amended. And there are two methods. One, of course, is when Congress proposes amendments, but the other method is calling a convention of states for the purpose of proposing amendments. And this has never been done. An Article 5 convention of states has never been done. So we're going to be making history, folks, when we make this happen. Now, we need to get 34 states to sign on to the resolution calling for this convention. We have 15 states that have signed on and have passed the resolution. And Indiana's one of them. We were the 6th state to sign the resolution. So 15 states have signed on. We need to get to 34. Once again, this is to propose amendments. Now, any proposed amendments then would have to be ratified by 38 states, or 3/4 of the state legislatures, in order to become an amendment to the Constitution. Now, if any are ratified, then they automatically become amendments to the Constitution. And we're trying to address the national debt. We're trying to control the breadth and control of the federal government. And we want to see term limits. Term limits for Congress, our judiciary, other federal officials. Term limits is something that we want to see happen. So that's what we're trying to do. Now, the other thing, of course, that we stress a great deal, and you remember when we interviewed Leanna, we talked about that and it's self-governance. We stress self-governance a great deal. And that means getting involved. That means you as an individual getting involved in your state, your county, your city, your local community, getting involved at any level, at any point. That's all part of self-governance. Joining Convention of States and becoming a supporter, that's self-governance. But we also stress for you to get involved in your community. Now, let me show you quickly. If you want to join us here in Convention of States, go to that national website, conventionofstates.com. Click on the menu select. Well, go to the national website, open an account, sign the petition. That makes you a supporter. Now, that's a very, very important step, and that's the first step to take. That's the first thing you need to do. Then you click on the menu selection, take action. Now, this is if you want to get involved in a volunteer leadership role, and we have a lot of different roles available for you to get involved in. And, you know, some of them require very little time. Of course, others are going to require more time. But click on the menu selection, take action, scroll down to where it says become a leader, and look at the different volunteer positions that we have. If one's of interest to you, open it up, read about it. If you're very interested, go ahead and make an application. You're not obligated in any way. But by doing that, then your name comes up on a report that I see, as well as a few others. One of us will then be in contact with you to further discuss that interest that you have, and we'll find a place for you. We need more leaders. We desperately need more district captains. So if you have the time and you have an interest in being a district captain like Leanna tonight, take a look at that particular position. Like I said, we have 100 districts here in Indiana. We're striving to get 40 district captains here in 2021. That means there's 60 more districts to go where we need a district captain. So I would urge you to take a look at that particular job. But like I said, there are others available. We'll get you involved. We'll find a place for you, okay? One last thought. Ladies and gentlemen, when you join Convention of States and when you're with us, when we make this happen, we're going to be making history. You're going to be part of a historical effort here. Like I said, there's never been an Article 5 Convention of States. Now, Convention of States was used as a method of solving problems throughout this country in its early days. But we've never had an Article 5 Convention of States. So you're going to be making history. So keep that in mind. With that in mind, I'm going to wrap it up for this evening. Once again, I apologize for the late start. Another technical problem that we had to deal with, so I think we got it straightened out. Hopefully we did, and hopefully we're broadcasting okay here. So once again, Convention of States, Indiana, come and join us and make history with us. Thank you. See you next week, Monday at 7 p.m., March 1st.